This is Barry Mathis coming to you once again from a great winery, and we have solved our dilemma on how to pronounce this winery's name. We brought the owner in. How do we pronounce it?
Ciotti. Ciotti Cellars.
We were both wrong.
Yes.
That seldom happens, so if you follow us, I'm almost always right, except for when I'm wrong. And of course, Rachel is always right, but we both missed it on this one.
Yeah, and thank you, Joe, for being here. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me in. This is great.
Awesome. Well, Joe, tell us a little about yourself.
We're a family-owned, operated winery. We've been in business now in Placer County since 2006. I think we probably make the bigger, bolder reds that you're going to find in this county. You know, our alcohol content maybe a little bit higher than normal. It's around 14.5 to 15.5%.
I did notice that on the bottle that we're drinking.
And we make about the 15 different varietals and 4 different blends.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And is it you and your family who runs the place?
Yeah, so it's basically me, but when it comes down to crush, which is coming up the next couple of weeks, my brother comes in from LA, he helps me, and it's really just family run.
Awesome. And we have here in the black shirt, looking debonair, Mitch Peters, your local real estate broker, property manager, lender. What you do it all. Tell us a little about your family.
We have started late with our kids. We have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old right now.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of work going to school right now. All the same school makes it a little bit easier driving them to class, and married almost 19 years now. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's getting hard to find nowadays. Have you noticed?
True.
It's kind of hard to find.
Well, thank you both for being here. We're certainly appreciative that you take the time out of your day.
And I don't think I introduced you, Rachel.
Oh,
Rachel Wesp.
Yeah, I'm Rachel Wesp. I'm a realtor here in Placer County, and I'm here with my partner, Barry. So we like to drink wine, and this is one of my favorite wineries. It's such a great environment and atmosphere and energy and great wine. So I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, and I really enjoy, what's the dog's name?
Lucia.
Lucia.
Everybody knows Lucia.
She's a sweetie.
She's helping us finish off some of our lunch here. We did bring out an assortment of food. Help yourself.
So, Joe, here in Placer County, what brought you to Placer County and in this particular area?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the agriculture in our county is fantastic. Okay, this Placer County was known way back when for we had grapes in this county before Napa even had grape. And then Prohibition came around, and we wiped out all our grapes. We put in mandarin trees and fruit trees. And Napa had the fortitude to put in grapes, knowing that eventually it would come back. But our region is fantastic for both the ground and the atmosphere. We're same latitude as Mediterranean in Tuscany.
Yeah.
So we grow big, delicious red ripe fruit here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, being full bottle Italian, we made wine as kids, and it was always a dream to have a winery. I decided what would be the best place. And we started looking around, and here we are. We ended up in Lincoln, and the community is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super nice community.
We do live in a wonderful area.
You're really blessed.
Which brings us to you. Like, what brought you to Placer County? Are you from Placer County?
yeah, North Sacramento and Natomas. I've been there 25 years or so. It's on the corner, 80 and I-5. So it's good to commute everywhere. Bay Area, north, like Yuba City, southern area, close to everything. That's why we like Natomas.
Yeah.
It's a great area.
Right here in NorCal, right? Like, we're very fortunate. NorCal happen to be partial to Placer County. I think that we are so fortunate in just our law enforcement, our communities, and the real estate here, but also the surrounding counties are.
It is. I mean, I don't think Placer County would be what it is without Sacramento being what it is. You do need the hustle and bustle. It's great to be a part of government seat, even though we don't always agree with everything they do. We're here. We're part of the hub. And when you compare it to other California cities, we don't have the craziness that's in LA, and we don't have some of the troubles that San Francisco has, even though it's a beautiful city. San Diego, of course, is probably actually one of my favorite cities in California.
Yeah.
Can't live on the beach all the time. You have to go to work at some point.
Well, you can try.
Yeah.
You can try, yeah.
Yeah.
I think here, if I'm not mistaken, we have several languages that are spoken. You speak Italian.
I speak enough Italian to get myself in trouble.
Okay. And that's about how you speak Tagalog, right?
Well, yeah.
Just enough to get yourself in
Just
trouble.
the bad words.
There you go. And you speak Spanish fluently?
Yes.
So let's start in on that, if you don't mind. I know, how is it serving in a Spanish community? How do you find it different when you're working with the Spanish community versus working with native English speakers, first language speakers? How is it different when you serve people that their first language is not English? Yet all the contracts are in English. Almost all the advertising's in English. I mean, we're geared around an English-speaking community, yet so many of our community come from other languages.
I think they just have to trust you a lot more. They don't really understand the paperwork, the documents, and they're not going to be able to read through it. So they basically just have to trust that you're telling what's true. A lot of it's going to be referral based with the Latino community. We're honest with our other clients. If you're not a good salesperson like me, but you're honest, people would come to you anyway.
Yeah.
The Latino community.
It's true. You get that trust factor.
So kind of building on that, like Joe, I think that you're a cornerstone of the community. Like, I think that people know you and they trust you. And I think that not only do you provide good product and just a great experience, but people like to support your business. For you, what does that networking in the community look like, and continue to keep those connections with your customers?
That's a great question. I'm really a big believer in community, and anything that's going on in the community, we're always looking into it, figuring out what's happening. Is there a way that we can support the community by either, donating wine, donating gift baskets, by just helping people generally speaking? In doing so, like I said, we have a great community here in Lincoln and abroad, even in, Auburn and up Penn Rin, all through that area. And I think people see that, and in just being, I don't want to say of kind heart, so to speak, they reciprocate that.
Yeah.
They bring it back to us. We're very fortunate. We do some social media, but basically we try to do everything in word of mouth. We want people to say, hey, have you gone over, have you seen Ciotti Cellars? Have you tasted their wines? Most recently, we just had a lady they're called the Warrior Project.
Yes.
Yeah, and she came up to us and she wanted to know what we could do to assist her, because what she does is she's incredible. She helps special needs children on horses and equestrian. So we told her we'd love to help her. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go out to her facility where I'm helping her set it up, and we're going to do free wine tastings. And then the proceeds of our sale that day is going to go to her and her company, because she's a nonprofit. And it's so important to help these type of people out here, because, without small business, without the community support, a small business will fold.
Yeah.
We'll all hurt.
And I just want to build on that. I actually had the opportunity to meet her when I came out to speak with you about, hosting here. And it was a really neat opportunity to learn. She was actually my neighbor, and I had no idea.
Small.
And she runs this not-for-profit, and her focus is at-risk youth and the healing and the rehabilitation that comes through serving. And I thought, and when from an outsider looking in, I'm observing, I thought how fortunate and how welcoming you were to support her in that business. And I thought, that's the kind of business that I want to support in our community. And I'm thankful that we have those opportunities and to be able to give. And that really is what sets us apart here in Placer.
Yeah. And what's really nice about Placer too, is there's so many small businesses still. We haven't been run over by the Walmarts of the world here yet, although we do have one. And all these big corporations, we still have some small wineries, some small breweries. We've got the fruit stands that people can go to.
Yeah.
And it's really important that people do that, because once we go away as a small company, then, everybody's, drinking and eating the same thing.
Yeah.
We have 3 different kinds of meats, 4 different kinds of cheeses. And I want to jump in and ask you a question, Mitch, on that same thing. But before I do, while we're talking about this, what kind of wine is this? And tell us a little about it.
So this is a Sangiovese Rosé. This incredible wine. So what we do is Sangiovese is normally a red wine, and we make the red Sangiovese, but we take our grape after we crush it and we let it sit for about 3 hours on its skin, and it gives it this beautiful pink color. And it also gives it more of a fruit forwardness to it. And it's just a really dry, crisp, beautiful, like white wine. It's a rosé. It's spectacular.
Yeah, it is really lovely. I
Thank you.
really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mitch, we're talking about small business. And I think one of the things that people don't understand, and we've had this question, is this a real estate thing or is this a business thing? What kind of podcast is this? I think that people don't understand that real estate is, in essence, every real estate agent out there is running a small business, right? And I think that lenders and the people who, I'm a dual licensed as well. I do lending. I have a lending license as well. But I think that when I got my lending license, I figured out that lenders actually understand the business side of it much better than most real estate agents do. And so what would you say to agents out there that are really trying to run a small business, just like Joe is? What would you say to them? What's some of the lessons that you think lenders picked up naturally that maybe a real estate agent might not get it right off the bat?
Okay, a lot of times, I guess if a real estate agent just goes out and makes a lot of money and tries to write off everything in their taxes,
They spend it all. Yeah.
They're not going to qualify for a mortgage. So a lot of times, if they treat their business or the real estate agency, the commission that they're getting as a business, they can qualify when they're ready to buy it. So not just buy like one house like where they live, but they could buy rentals, investment properties. Some real estate agents do that. I think the more successful ones make a lot more money. I think they start figuring out that they could buy more on their own. I don't know if that was...
Yeah.
So when you talk about like the foundation of your business, so you do real estate and you do lending, is that correct?
Yes, I started in 2005 just lending, but then the market tanked in 2006 and 7.
Yeah.
There, I seem to recall something about that.
Yeah. And so when you take that business approach, like a lot of realtors, I think that sometimes they go into it transaction to transaction rather than looking at it as a business whole. And so as a lender, going into it as a business whole, how can you connect that with what realtors should be doing as far as a business approach?
So are you saying most real estate agents just make their money and spend it? Or?
No, more like...
That's what they do. You're right, they do.
Yeah.
I are one.
But I think that with small business owners, you have to look at the long game and you have to create these goals. And so I think that some realtors, not all realtors, but some realtors look at things from one transaction to the next. And so from a lending perspective, it might give you a different lens that the average realtor may not be looking through. And so you're looking at it for longevity of how you're going to build up your business. So how can you connect the two?
Would it be like, just saving?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. As a lender, you're looking at that profit and loss for the whole year. You're looking at how much money the company made and how much it retained, which is the same thing for a small business guy.
Of course.
With the real estate agents, a lot of times, and part of this is just because many real estate agents have a significant other that is also earning a W-2 check. And so they look at their money almost like it's play money.
Yeah.
But then they get into $100,000 for the year if they are good at it, and they get up to $100,000 a year. And any business that was throwing off $100,000 a year would be looking at QuickBooks all the time. They'd look at their monthly statements. They'd look at their P&L. They'd run it like a business. Yet in real estate, it's almost like that's not a real business. Hey, if it's making $100,000, $200,000 a year, that's a real business, right? And I think that gets overlooked a lot by agents.
Basically, a lot of dual income families, you got the spouse working at it, making a $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 W-2 income. Then the husband or the other person does the commission stuff and they just play around with it. A lot of times they just put it aside, save, or treat it more like a business. They can invest and multiply their...
I always hate answering this question because sometimes it can be embarrassing if I don't know the answer. Do you own any investment properties yourself?
Yeah. So throughout the years, I'm not as you could tell, I'm not a very good speaker. I'm not very good.
You're doing just fine.
But I made a little bit of money, never tons, but I've managed it well. So yeah, I own rentals.
Rentals?
Yeah.
Good.
And I think a lot of people in the business, they're really good. They make tons of money, but they spend it all. They don't put away any. They don't invest any. They don't save any. But after a while, if you've been doing it a while and you're putting aside money, you don't have to work as hard down the road, or you don't have to worry times like today. If you've saved and invested during times like today, or for most real estate agents, mortgage brokers, loan officers, this time period is really tough, just like it was in 2008 or 7. Not because there's not a lot of business going on. There's still a lot, but there's not anywhere as much as where it used to be. Times like today, a lot of people are leaving. Loan officers, underwriters are leaving the industry, going to W-2 jobs. But like you and me, we were there when it happened in 2005 and 6. And I remember back then, I was thinking, I'm not going to let this happen again and down the road. So I kind of prepared for it. Maybe it was a good thing right when I was starting out, it was a bum market that just kind of taught me, okay, you save. Maybe similar to, in some ways, as the Depression era, the people in the 30s or late 20s, they grew up in that economy. They became savers down the road. So I don't know.
Joe, what was it like in the Depression?
What was it like in the Depression? Well, no.
Before we go on, be thinking in the back of your mind while she asks her question about the real estate time when you bought this property, not as a winery, but as a business, what brought you here. So have you think about that while she asks her question.
Oh, no, I'd like to. Now
you're in my question.
I want to know what that is.
Yeah, so tell us about this as almost like real estate has gone up. You've been here for a number of years.
Right.
What made you pick this location to put a winery in? What was the real estate value like when it is there? And How is that done? That kind of thing.
Right. So we started our winery in 2006. So we started our winery right at the downturn of the economy. And it was a struggle. And we had both tasting rooms, joint tasting rooms in different places with different wineries. And we did that for, we did it for 6 years up in Auburn. And then we did it for 7 years. We were down at the High Hand Fruit Shed. We kept getting moved out of these different places because the other wineries that were with us, who owned the property, wanted to have their own winery. And now that we kind of helped them get established, we just moved on. So we started looking for property, and we looked here in Placer County. Like I said, we wanted to be in Placer. Really didn't even think about Lincoln. And when we saw this property, it was all overgrown. It was on the market for 15 years, I think it was. Nobody saw the potential in this property. So my wife found it, and I crawled in it with a jumpsuit on and got a whole bunch of ticks on my back and realized that it was a beautiful piece of property. From when we bought this property, now speeding forward 8 years, of course the property's gone up in value. It's gone up, amazingly in value. I would say what pushed us into this region, like I said earlier, is literally the rolling hills. The Lincoln itself is so beautiful. It's small, it's quaint. It's everything that you want to have when you come to a winery and sit down and enjoy a glass of wine.
Sorry, I got distracted by Luigi.
That's okay. Lucia.
Sorry about that.
So I want to touch base on what you were talking about, Mitch, with the passive income, because that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Like, we love meeting and networking and providing service to people. But just as importantly, or even maybe more importantly, is that passive income. Joe, how does that fall into place and work with your business?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we actually have a passive income.
Yeah, I was wondering. I don't think what he's doing is passive. But the real estate is.
Well, what I mean by that is...
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, your memberships, right?
Oh, there you go.
So that's kind of where I was thinking about how you have this community loyalty.
Right.
And not only that, but because you provide a good product, people continue to invest into that because that's something that they enjoy.
Got it.
So
Now I
as a
understand.
passive income.
Yeah, thank you. So it's interesting because a lot of people think if you have a winery, you must be a millionaire, right? You got tons and tons of money. But in order to get what you're saying, when our membership grows, the need for wine grows. When the need for wine grows, that need for money has to be installed in grapes and stainless steel tanks and wine barrels and all this other stuff. So they say the fastest way to have $1 million or to lose $1 million is to open up a winery. I think they're probably pretty true. You start with 2 and you end up with 1.
Yeah.
But it's more of a way of life. So that income that comes in from selling wine, from having wine club memberships, from doing events, really gets pushed back into the business. And I think that's what you're trying to say earlier. What do you do businessly, as a business sense, to continue to grow? And I think you're either doing one or two things. You're either growing or you're declining. And so it's important for us as a winery just to keep putting that money back in, to keep improving the property, to keep improving our wines and our wine making abilities. Yeah.
As an investor and an entrepreneur, I look at my dollars as minions, right? Mm-hmm. And so how can I make those dollars, rather than, purchasing things, how can I make those little dollars work for me and to bring more minions in? And I think that I'd imagine with your business, it's not only investing into your product, but the land and just all of the different things that involves.
No, you're absolutely right. And by doing that, we're then able to help our community more too, because we're making a little bit more money. We're putting it back into the industry itself, which is creating more money, which then when somebody like this lady says, hey, I want to do this wine tasting, could you help us? Right. It doesn't hurt as much. It still hurts to give. But it doesn't hurt as much. And we're able to do those type of things more readily.
And my hope is, like, when I see businesses reach out and support those not-for-profits in the community, like, that makes me want to support those businesses, because I'm like, they're doing good in the community. How can I support their business?
You just said it hurts to give. What hurts even more is when people come to you with a need and you don't have it to give.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we lose sight sometimes in all of our goals and all of our businesses. One of my goals is to give away $1 million. And I'm well on my way. I haven't given it all away. And I know some people could just write a check for $1 million. Right. It'll take me a lifetime to give it away. But when you don't have any to give to somebody, you're like, you know what? I should do my business a little better. So when somebody does need something, I've got it.
Yeah, I agree.
So Mitch, what got you into investing and working towards that passive income goal?
I don't know if I planned for it, just 2008-ish, 9-ish, somewhere around there. The market was bad, but property values were really, really low. Most of my clients, I was young. Most of my clients did not want to buy at the time. And I was like them at first until I calculated the numbers. And at that point in time, I remember just writing down, hey, it really doesn't matter what happens to the real estate. The rental income is just going up. It was really low at the time, but I looked at a lot of the history of the rental income way back from like 30, 40 years before, and it had constantly gone up. So the property values at the time were between, 80, 120 per single family.
Yeah.
And it just made sense. I had to talk my wife into it because we had to do it together. And at first, she didn't seem excited about it because a lot of people were not excited about buying real estate at that time. But just little by little,
you earned her trust.
Yeah, it just worked. We just said, hey, we'll do one at a time, see how it goes. And
how many do you currently own?
We own a few.
More than 10?
A few.
Less than 10 or more than 10? More than 10. Yeah. I don't want to pick in your personal business, but it gives people a point of reference. Here in 2008, you didn't have any, and now you're growing, and now you've got more than 10
And that was
properties.
not that
That's
long.
amazing.
That really was not that long ago. And right now, rents are at the very highest. I mean, it costs more to rent these days than it would be to probably purchase.
So I have a property management company. We manage 156 properties. And so I'm very in tune with the rental market to some degree. You have a property management company. You manage some properties for yourself, and then at the same time, manage some for some others as well, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. How could somebody reach you if they wanted to get a hold of you either for the loan business or for property management business?
Probably the best thing, just call my cell phone 916-628-4005.
916-628-4005.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that someone will put his number up on the screen right now. You talked to us a little bit, Joe, about things that go on here on the weekends and some of the things you offer. I want to make sure that we take time to have you expand on that just a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah. So our winery is only open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay. During this time of the year, we're crushing grapes. As a matter of fact, we're going to start crushing next week. We're going to crush a Fiano, beautiful white that we make. But we're open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 12 to 5. On Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4, we do live music. Okay. And then we have food trucks generally when the food trucks decide they're going to show up, which is about 95% of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some night concerts too. We're going to have a night concert in August from 6 to 9 and so on. So so come on out, taste our wines. What we kind of do is we put a white and a rosé, and then we'll have 4 different reds. And then the next week we'll put a different 4 reds up. So if you come out every week, you're going to get something different all the time. And if you're not, ask me and we'll open up a bottle for you.
Nice.
And not only that, but like the entertainment, right? Yeah. The entertainment is always just changing, and there's always just new things going on. I really enjoy it.
I came in one time, and there was this guy on a guitar, and he was just singing ballads.
Was it Joe?
Oh, wait.
Because
it was. I think it might have been Joe.
Yeah, well, I'm a musician, right? And singer-songwriter, so music is really important to me. Without music, I think the world would all go deaf. I mean, it really would. And so we got some really good artists that come out. They're top-of-the-line artists, and they're here every Friday or every Saturday, Sunday. Friday, you just come drink with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we
and
are.
I may play. So
as you are.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us out. This is fantastic.
Hey, it's always nice to be able to sit down with the person who makes the wine.
Oh, and one other thing I want to talk about. What is your annual trip to Italy?
So my wife and I
am mentioning for an invite.
So my wife and I take a group of people to Italy twice. Okay, we do 2 different trips or 10-day trips. We joined up with a man that's become a really good friend of mine. His name is Marco, and he owns a company in Italy. He's born and raised in Italy, and he owns a company. So what we do is you have to fly yourself there, but it's for 10 days and 9 nights. Last year we went all through Tuscany. This year we're going to do Sardinia for 10 days, and then that group's going to go, and we're going to meet another group in Sicily. And they're food and wine tours is what they are. Marco's a food and wine critic. He's been a critic in Italy for 25 years. I think he's written over 50 books. So they're spectacular tours. I mean, they really are.
Well, you have to keep me on the short list.
Sounds like a dream bucket list to me.
I promise you.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so nice to get to know about your businesses, and I knew what good work you're doing in the community, and just to kind of jump more in depth on that. It's been really good.
again, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Very-
Well, glad to have you both out. Is there anything that's on your mind that you've wanted to explore a little bit as far as like, why is this challenge keep coming back up in our business, right? Is there something that you've seen that has come up over and over in your business? What's that challenge that keeps reoccurring? So for me, it's always been cash flow. For me, it's always been up and down. I have the gift of gab, if you couldn't tell, and God bless me with a mouth.
Absolutely.
And so I can talk, I can sell, and I can make money. So I've been really blessed in that area. However, maintaining it and maintaining cash flow has always been something that's always been a challenge for me. And I'm working on it, getting better and better at it all the time. What in your business or in your life, and this would be all three of you, Rachel as well, what's that one thing that is a challenge for you that just keeps coming back up? You just haven't got it quite licked yet.
I think the business changes constantly. For example, real estate, it used to be a lot less technology. Even a few years ago, much less technology, much more person to person. I would say it was easier to make a lot of money per transaction. But with the internet, with information at everybody's fingertips, the margins get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. Number one, property management, it's getting so much more tough. It's something else that's getting really tough is all the new laws. Tons and tons of new laws. So I think that would be an opportunity for property managers because I could see, I just went to a meeting recently, I could see that a lot of people are wanting to get out. They're getting older. I think that there's a little bit of opportunity right there just because no one's going to want to manage their own property anymore with all the different laws. And mortgages, I would say very similar. It used to be you could make a lot more money per loan. The competition was a lot less. But now, again, same thing as real estate, but maybe even more. You can shop things at your fingertips. The margins are getting a lot tighter. In the end, it's going to be where I've seen who can do things most efficiently with the least amount of cost and gets the most amount of people are the ones that are making the money, what I've seen.
What about you? What's some of the challenges that you've faced? Maybe in business, maybe just that you just keep dealing with.
Some of the challenges that I've faced, I think just getting your business known and being out there. And that's one of the things that I've made an intentional choice most recently.
Yeah, your website, NorCal's Best.
Yeah, NorCal'sBest.com. Yeah.
It's just a beautiful site. You can tell you put a lot of work into it.
But I really did go, in 2020, my dad had his stroke and I went from working in a government office to caring for my dad, but also pursuing my career with real estate. While I was working with real estate, I was really kind of isolated. And I think as the world continuing to opening up, now doing is the networking, getting out there, meeting with people. And so I think one of the challenges was that we were in isolation. And one of the goals and the pursuit is really just strengthening that networking and getting out into the community.
Awesome. Joe, any challenges that keep coming back up?
Just kind of echo what Rachel said here. Getting the community to come out, getting the communities to support small businesses. I don't want to say it's a challenge. It definitely is something that all small businesses could use.
Right. Well, we're so glad that you guys joined us, and each individual person that tunes in here and subscribes, we really appreciate it. There is, some of you may have noticed, a subscription button that actually charges a fee. You can subscribe for free, but any fees that come in on subscriptions get donated to charity. If you see that, we have charities that we support over time. Maybe we'll even get in behind this charity that you spoke of with your neighbor. That'd be awesome. And we just really enjoy sharing our lunchtime with you.
And we appreciate being here.
Thank you.
Awesome. And great environment. Again, I would just repeat, how blessed are we that we get to hang out with our friends, talk about real estate.
This friend.
New friends who seems to enjoy my salami at least as much as everybody else does.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.